Hello students, hope all of you are fine and safe at home. Students, we were discussing in the previous session the morphological details of earthworm, that is Pheretima posthuma, where we have learnt about the importance of the region called Glytela that will divide the body of earthworm into three regions: the Glytela region, which will include 14, 15 and 16 segments, and anterior to that, the first 13 segment region we call it as a Precleatulum region, and towards the other side 17 segment onwards to 120th segment, the region is called postglytelar region. We have also understood that the Precleatulum region that includes 13 segments has the first segment called as peristomium. Towards its ventral side it has the mouth, and the peristomium is extended towards the anterior side as a fleshy lobe called prostomium, which helps in digging the soil at the time of burrow formation. And it acts as a protective cover for the mouth also. Glytela region, as we have understood, that is the glandular region, which is responsible for the formation of cocoon. And this segments has high secretory function, because of which more of the excretory products are produced. To remove those excretory products, concentration of more number of nephridia are accumulated at this location of Glytelium. Hence, the Glytellum is commonly called as forest of nephridia. So, next to the region of Glytellum, towards posterior side is the postglytelar region that will start from 17th segment, ends up till the anal segment or the last segment of the body. I think till there we have learnt in the previous class. Today we will continue with the rest of morphological features of Pheretima posthuma. The next important feature that we are going to understand is presence of setae or chaetae. As we have understood, students, setae or chaetae are the locomotory organs present in the earthworms. Generally, in case of annelids, the aquatic annelids have parapodia or parapodium structure, which will have notopodia and neuropodia, helps the organism to propel in the water. So, locomotion in the water is brought about by parapodia. But in case of the terrestrial forms, there are special structures present in every segment of the organism, which is generally rod-like, bent, has got a central nodule, and towards anterior side it has got the body, and towards posterior side it has got the base. So, the neck portion towards anterior body, and posterior side an elongation of the rod, which we call it as the base. The base portion is along with the nodule, the central node-like structure is embedded within the skin or epidermis that you can see here. Only the outer neck portion is generally exposed outside, which is rod-like. Now, this rod of chitinous structure is responsible for the movement of the body of earthworm. Hence, chitinous setae, also called as chaetae, are responsible for the locomotion of earthworm. And these structures are embedded in the segments, every segment of the body, and each of the segment will have around 80 to 120 setae as an average number. The Glytellum segment will have the presence of the setae or chaetae during immature stage. But once after its maturity, this Glytella gets shed off. the setae get shed off from the Glytellum region. So, in the immature earthworms, we will find chaetae or setae near in the region of Glytellum. In the mature condition, these setae or chetae are shed off because it takes up the function of secretion. Then, setae or chetae which are of 80 to 120 number in every segment are now concentrated in an arrangement. The arrangement is what you find generally in the diagram down here. Much towards the right side in the diagram, the arrangement is more concentrated towards the mid-ventral region. So, lower surface has got more number of setae or chetae than the upper one. So, this arrangement we call it as perichetine arrangement. So, perichetine arrangement referring to arrangement of setae of 80 to 120 number in every segment where more concentration of the chetae or setae are seen towards the ventral surface than the dorsal surface. So, this is the importance of chetae or setae. So, we also find these structures on the outer surface of the body of earthworm. The next important feature is that presence of cuticle. Students, cuticle is a thin, elastic, non-cellular, striated and multi-layered region which is present above the epidermis because this region is secreted by epidermis itself. It has number of perforations, mean to say it will have number of minute openings. It is for the nephridia, that is the excretory structures, to open out, which we call it as nephridiopores otherwise. The cuticle layer is a protective layer. So, it is a protective in function. It is made up of generally polysaccharides, then gelatin and collagenous protein material. So, it is a non-cellular region, mean to say it is made up of dead tissue, and it is generally has got chemically the protein of gelatin, protein of collagenous fibers and even polysaccharides. So, that is the importance of this layer. So, overall the function of cuticle is to protect the organism and especially the epidermis of the organism. Okay. Now, after we understanding the structures present on the body, that is morphological structures, now we shall concentrate on the openings or the apertures of the body of Pheretima, that is the earthworm. As we have understood in the introduction of the session, it has got major openings like mouth, anus and genital openings. So, first one to start with is mouth. The first aperture is the mouth here at anterior side. Mouth is a crescent shaped opening which is anterior, present between the prostomium and peristomium at ventral surface, that is mid ventral side. It helps in the ingestion of food, that is intake of food. So, it forms the opening of buccal cavity otherwise. The second opening is the anus. It is a vertical slit which we see in the last segment or the terminal posterior segment of the body in case of earthworm. It helps in the removal of undigested waste, adhesion process we otherwise call it as. So, you can see in the picture the vertical slit of the segment which is enlarged. The next is genital openings or apertures. It refers to the openings of the reproductive system. Students, when we look at the earthworm, it is a hermaphrodite, which means both male and female reproductive gonads and systems are present in the same animal, and hence the organism of earthworm will show presence of male and female genital openings. First one to start with is the male genital openings or apertures. So it is situated, it's a pair of crescent openings which are seen in the 18 segments at ventrolateral position. So down in the picture towards left side, in the 18th segment when we look at, it is marked as male genital pores. So they are paired, 2 in number, seen towards ventrolateral position, one towards this end, the other one towards the right and left ends generally. And these openings are the openings of common openings of prostatic and spermatic ducts, which forms the male reproductive system otherwise. So the male system, reproductive system openings are opening outside the body at the 18th segment towards the ventrolateral position. So down and lateral sides. Okay. So this is about the male genital openings. So where do you find male genital openings in case of earthworm? It is on the 18th segment towards ventrolateral position. So what is the shape of these openings? Generally crescent shape, the cup shaped openings. The female genital aperture is it is not paid, it is unpaid opening. Okay, one single opening it is. And where it is situated? It is situated on the ventral surface of 14th segment. So exactly at the mid-ventral region, you have one opening of the body of earthworm, which we call it as a median single female genital aperture. So through which it will discharge the female reproductive cells, which we call it as the eggs otherwise. So the opening of 14th segment is embedded outside. It is covered outside otherwise by means of Glytela. Remember that. Okay. So 14th segment has a single opening of female genital aperture, and 18th segment has got a paired genital openings of male reproductive system. Now, the next important feature is spermatical pores. There are 4 pairs of small ventrolateral openings which are seen at the intersegmental grooves. You know, intersegmental grooves means the 2 segments when they join, that region we call it as intersegmental grooves. So that is the location of this spermatical pores. I mean, a pair of openings are seen. Between which are the segments? Between 5 and 6, 6 and 7, 7 and 8, 8 and 9. So 4 pairs of ventral lateral openings are seen, which acts as the spermatical pores, the openings of the spermatical bags. Students, down in the picture towards the left side, you can find those slit-like openings, spermatical pores. So they are paired. You can see one more similar kind of opening on towards the other side. Whereas towards the right side, there is a section of the body of earthworm where you can find sac-like structures, grey bunch-like structures are seen. So paired bunches, bags. These bags are responsible for the storage of sperms during the process of reproduction. So this, the sperms of the other organism of earthworm is stored here, and those sperms are shed out during the process of fertilization, that is cocoon formation, and the way through which it comes out is the openings of spermatical pores. Since 4 spermatical bags are there, of 4 pairs of spermatical bags are there, so we find 4 pairs of spermatical pores also. Sperma refers to male reproductive cells and gametic cells otherwise, and theca refers to the bag. The opening of the bag of sperm is called as spermatical pores in simple. The next important feature is of apertures, nephridiopores. There are innumerable minute openings which are scattered all over the body except for the first two segments. And these openings will remove the excretory waste from the body. So they connect with the structures of nephridia. So down in the picture, there is an enlargement of the opening shown in every segment, which we call as nephridiospores. So nephridia are the excretory structures, and the openings of which that will communicate between the internal environment and external environment to throw out the excretory waste is done through this opening of nephridiospores. They are innumerable number, but they are absent in first two segments. The next important feature is related to dorsal pores. These are minute openings of coelomic chambers located mid-dorsally at intersegmental grooves that starts from 12th and 13th segment onwards, except the last segment. So when you look at the body, between 12th and 13th segmental groove of septum, you find the opening of the body towards dorsal surface. That will continue till the last segment, but it is absent in the last segment, remember that. So these openings are called as dorsal pores. They communicate with the structures of coelom inside and external environment outside. So that's the importance of dorsal pores of the earthworm. The next important feature is related to genital papillae. These are paired structures which are seen in the segment of 17 and 19 at ventrolateral position, no doubt. Each genital papillae will have, they are the extensions, it is like extension of the segment, okay, a protrusion of the segment. If this is the segment of 17, so towards one side there is a bulb-like extension, here also a bulb-like extension, it is like this, attachments. Okay. These attaching cup-like structures are referred as genital papillae. What is the importance of these structures? They help in holding the other organism during the process of pseudo-copulation. Students, remember, pseudo means false, copulation means mating process. Here, two earthworms, even though they are hermaphrodites, their male and female gametes of the same animal will never fuse, never fertilize. Male gametes are exchanged between two earthworms. So to have the exchange of male gametic cells, that is the sperms, they need to transfer them out. So to hold the two organisms tightly, we have on either sides one pair above, one pair below of male genital pores. So male genital pores are the openings through which sperms are released out. So to hold the organism tightly, to insert the sperms into the body of the other organism, there are two attaching structures to hold. They are called genital papillae. So one pair is present above the male genital pore segment, that is 18th segment, which we call it as 17th segment showing the papillae, one pair, and 19th segment also shows another pair of papillae. They act like suckers to hold tightly the other organism during the transfer of male gametes. Are you able to understand? So this phenomenon we call it pseudocopulation. So during pseudocopulation, the male gametic cells are introduced into the body of the other organism during at the 18th segment. To facilitate this process, this organism that introduces sperms into the body of another will hold the other organism tightly with the help of this genital papillae of two pairs. Where is the location? One pair is in 17th segment, the other pair in 19th segment at a ventrolateral position. So that's about the importance of morphology or external features of pheretima. So, we will understand now how much exactly, we will test ourselves how much exactly we have followed the concept of morphology here by answering the MCQs. The color of the body of earthworm is brown due to the presence of which particular pigment? Definitely it is A, porphyrin, which acts as a protective pigment against the light. The region of earthworm, which is generally called as forest of nephridia, so it is Glytela, A. In earthworm, genital papillae occur in which of the segments? Which of the segments? It is 17 and 19, that is C. 18 segment will have male genital openings. Fourth question, locomotion in earthworm is directly facilitated by what? Mucus, segmentation, rhythmic contraction of segments, setae and contraction of segments. So, it is D, setae and contraction of segments. Fifth question, Precleatulum of pheretima is very thick girdle. What is the speciality of it? It is seen as the fusion of 14 to 16 segments. So, C and D does not fall in, but it is glandular. Hence, B answer is correct. It is glandular, present between 14 to 16 segment. In earthworm, mouth is situated on which particular segment? Prostomium, stomium, peristomium, protostomium. It is C, peristomium, the first segment. Well, students, what is the outcome of today's session? We have understood the morphology and structural organization in the organism of earthworm. The references includes Wikipedia and Britannica.com. Then textbooks includes the Invertebrate Zoology by P.S. Verma, Jordan and Verma. Then modern textbook zoology by Kotpal. So, there is also one more book called Invertebrate Zoology by Kotpal, you can refer it. So, these are all the sources of images what we have used in the session of PPT. Okay. Fine, students, in this particular concept of morphology, you need to learn the diagram of dorsal and ventral view, complete diagram. Let me show it. Yeah. So, here this particular diagram you are supposed to practice, which was important, okay, showing the dorsal view and ventral view of earthworm. So, diagram is important, you will have to practice this diagram. Okay. Next, this concept of morphology of earthworm is important for major question. So, they generally ask for 10 marks to explain the external morphology of earthworm. So, concentrate on all the points and the diagram the image diagram what is given here. So, practice this diagram. Rest of our diagrams you need not have to practice except for this. Okay. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, comments, please post them to my personal WhatsApp number, students, and take care of yourselves and your health also. Wish you all a very good day. Thank you all, students.